Here's the Etch-a-Sketch serial monitor. As I turn the right Etch-a-Sketch, the right value increases. As I turn the left Etch-a-Sketch, the left value increases. There. Here's the processing output to the Etch-a-Sketch. If I move the right potentiometer, it increments the Y value. If I move the left potentiometer, it increments the X value. If I move them both together, I can move diagonally and try to make curved shapes. Here I've changed the fill of the ellipse to be blue instead of red with the blue parameter of 255. And I've changed the dimensions of the ellipse to be an X length of 25 and a Y length of 5. If I run this, I see my new shape, a blue flattened ellipse. In order to create the fence feature, I limited the possible range of X and Y coordinates by subtracting a full diameter from the width and height. I had to shift by 1 radius though because this dilation was taken about the top left corner. If I increment my potentiometers, you'll see they cannot take any values beyond the grid length, and I get a nice square. In order to create these color gradients, I noticed that the R and G color parameters depend on the X coordinate, while the blue color parameter depends on the Y coordinate. If I look at my processing code, I created integers X gradient and Y gradient that turn the X and Y coordinates into their corresponding color gradients from 0 to 255. If I run the code, I'll see that increasing my Y component increases the blue parameter, increasing the X component increases the R and G parameters, decreasing Y decreases blue, decreasing X decreases R and G. In order to create the Etch-a-Sketch time plot, I have another parameter that I'm sending to processing. This parameter counts the number of loops that have iterated on the Arduino code. Each loop marks a 50 millisecond increment, which is what we desire for the time step. Loop count, as you see, has a modulus operator that makes sure that loop count can only occupy values from 0 to 512, which is the range of my grid. Here I read this now third string parameter as a time and plot it as the X coordinate of my ellipse. If I run the code, I'll see that I can plot graphs by changing my Y value as the X value continuously counts in 50 millisecond increments, each 50 millisecond increment being 1 coordinate length in the X direction. As the grid reaches the end, background function is called, resetting the background to white. Here I've got my circuit for the game controller. Each of these colored wires denotes a button, and I can move them from high to low. They're connected to digital pins. They're read by the Arduino. The Arduino turns these into strings, sends it to processing. Processing increments its X and Y coordinates of the ellipse based on the button states. These if conditions make sure that the cursor cannot go beyond the grid boundaries. If I turn the button right on, you'll see that the dot begins to move to the right. I can also move down and to the right at the same time. And you'll see that it cannot go beyond these grid boundaries. In order to get this image, I have this load image function, and I load every pixel of the image to get the colors of the pixels in an array. I evaluate every single center point of the circle cursor and ask, is the center point in one of these areas, one of these quadrants that's not the Spring 21 quadrant? And if it is in one of these 4 rectangles, then I overwrite the center point of where the circle is to white color pixels and update the pixels. So if I move my cursor so that it's at this yellow square, and I move to the right, you'll see that right there, there's a white line to where the center point was. It erased part of that square. If I move down to where the Spring 21 is and to the right, you'll see that no part of the Spring 21 gets erased where the center point of the circle crosses. Okay, stop.